My daughter-in-law, Robert's wife, looked me straight in the eye and said, "My family always comes first. You're last." My daughter, Jessica, was standing right beside her, nodding her head. I kept waiting for her to say something, to defend me, to remember everything I had done for them. But she didn't. She only looked down and whispered, "Mom, Robert is right." I felt something shatter inside my chest. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, like a dried branch breaking silently under the snow. I smiled. I told them, "Good to know." And in that moment, I decided that I would have priorities too, and they would no longer be on my list. That night, I drove back to my apartment alone. 2 small rooms in an old downtown building. The walls were a stained cream color marked by dampness. The linoleum floor creaked when I walked. From the window, I could see the parking lot and a 24-hour laundromat. I didn't have a view. I didn't have enough natural light. But it was what I could afford after selling them my house, the house where I raised Jessica. 3 bedrooms, a rose garden, a spacious kitchen with windows overlooking the backyard. I sold it 5 years ago after my husband passed away. Jessica told me they needed help with the down payment for their new place. "Mom, it's an investment for everyone. You'll live with us eventually. Why do you need so much space all by yourself?" I believed her. I gave her almost all the money from the sale. $180,000. I kept barely $30,000 for the apartment and living expenses. They bought a 2-story house in a gated community, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a 3-car garage, a backyard with a pool. I used to go over every Sunday to watch my grandkids, Chloe and Zachary. I would bring food that I prepared on Saturday night, meatloaf, chicken and rice, vegetable soup. I would clean the kitchen after we ate. I'd wash the dishes. I'd fold the clothes they left in the dryer. Jessica always had commitments. Yoga classes, brunch with friends, salon appointments. Robert played golf on Sunday mornings. He'd get back late smelling of beer and cigarette smoke. He'd greet me with a nod. He never asked how I was. He never thanked me for watching his kids. I was part of the house inventory, like the vacuum cleaner or the microwave. The kids loved me. Chloe is 12 years old. Long waist-length brown hair, big sad eyes. She always hugged me when I arrived. "Grandma, I'm so glad you're here." Zachary is 8. He's quiet. He loves to draw. He would show me his drawings of dinosaurs and spaceships. I kept them in a folder in my apartment. It was the only thing that made me feel like I still mattered to someone. But 3 months ago, things changed. I started noticing that Jessica answered my calls half-heartedly. "Mom, I'm busy. What do you need?" As if calling my own daughter was a bother, I stopped going every Sunday. I waited for them to invite me. 2 weeks passed, then 3. No one called, so I called them. "Can I come see the kids this Sunday?" Jessica sighed. "Better not, Mom. We have family plans." Family? The word pierced me. I wasn't included in those plans. I wasn't family. I was something else, something secondary, something you use when it's convenient. Yesterday, they called me. It was Robert. His voice sounded kind, too kind. "Doris, we want to invite you to dinner tomorrow. It's been a while since we talked as a family." I hesitated. Something didn't sound right, but I accepted. I wanted to believe they had reflected, that they missed me, that they remembered everything I had done. I arrived at 7 o'clock in the evening. I rang the doorbell. Robert opened the door. He was wearing a pearl gray dress shirt, dark trousers. He smelled of expensive cologne. He greeted me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Come in, Doris. Jessica is in the kitchen." I walked in. The house was spotless. The hardwood floor gleamed. Ivory leather furniture, a crystal chandelier in the dining room, all bought with my money. Jessica came out of the kitchen. She was wearing a fitted olive green dress, her hair pulled back in a high bun. Perfect makeup. She kissed me on the cheek, a cold mechanical kiss. "Hi, Mom. Have a seat. Dinner is almost ready." I sat at the dining room table. Robert sat across from me. Jessica brought a platter with roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, and bread. She poured wine into tall glasses. "We toasted to family, Viper," Robert said. I raised my glass without saying a word. We ate in uncomfortable silence. I expected them to say something, to explain why they had invited me, but there were only the sounds of silverware against the plates, chewing, swallowing, the wall clock marking every second. Finally, Robert spoke. "Doris, we want to talk about something important." He wiped his mouth with his napkin. He looked at Jessica. She nodded. He continued. "We've been thinking a lot about our family dynamic, and we believe it's time to establish clearer boundaries." Boundaries? I felt a chill run down my spine. Jessica and I have our own responsibilities. Our children, our home, our finances, and we need to focus on that, on our nuclear family. He paused. He looked at me directly. "You're important, of course, but you can't expect us to always be available for you." I hadn't asked them to be available for me. I was the one who was always available for them. Jessica took over. Her voice sounded rehearsed. "Mom, you understand, right? We have to think of ourselves first, of Chloe and Zachary, of our future." She took a deep breath and then she said it. "My family always comes first, you're last." The silence that followed was dense. Heavy, like molten lead. I looked at my daughter, the baby I breastfed for a year, the little girl I cared for when she had pneumonia at age 5, the teenager who cried in my arms when her first boyfriend dumped her, the woman to whom I gave everything, literally everything. I waited for her to take it back, to say she misspoke, that she didn't mean it. But she didn't. She just looked at me, waiting for my reaction. "Mom, Robert is right," Jessica added. Her voice was firm. There was no doubt, no regret. I could have stood up, I could have screamed, I could have cried. But I didn't do any of that. I took my glass of wine. I took a sip. I set it down on the table carefully. I smiled, a small, calm smile. "Good to know," I said. Robert blinked, confused. Jessica frowned. They expected drama. They expected tears. They expected me to beg. I gave them none of it. I stood up. I folded my napkin. I placed it next to the plate. "Thank you for dinner." It was delicious. I walked toward the door. I grabbed my purse, my keys. "Mom." Jessica followed me to the entrance. "Are you okay?" "Perfectly fine," I replied. "You just clarified something very important for me, and I appreciate it." I walked out of that house. I got into my car, an old silver sedan with dents on the rear door. I started the engine. I drove through empty streets back to my apartment. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat on my apartment sofa staring at the wall. The cream-colored paint was peeling in the corners. There was a damp stain that looked like a map. I thought about everything I had lost to get here, to this small place, to this loneliness. I remembered when Jessica was born. It was a difficult birth, 18 hours of labor. My husband, rest his soul, was with me the whole time. He held my hand. He wiped the sweat from my forehead. When the nurse finally placed Jessica in my arms, I cried. She was perfect, small, fragile, mine. The first few years were beautiful. I worked part-time at a fabric store. My husband was an accountant at a construction company. We didn't have much money, but it was enough. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment. Jessica slept in a crib next to our bed. At night, I would breastfeed her while listening to her soft breathing. It seemed like a miracle that something so perfect had come from me. When Jessica turned 4, we bought our first house. It was small, but it had a yard. I planted roses next to the entrance. Coral and pale yellow roses. Jessica helped me water them. She would get her hands dirty with soil. She would laugh. That sound was the most beautiful thing in the world. My husband worked long hours. He would leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. He would return at 8 o'clock in the evening. I quit my job to care for Jessica full-time. I cooked, cleaned, took her to school, helped with homework. We were happy, or so I thought. When Jessica was 12, my husband suffered his first heart attack. He survived, but the doctor said he had to slow down. Less stress, better diet. He left his job and opened a small accounting consulting business from home. Income decreased. I went back to work. I got a job at a bakery. Early morning shifts, I left at 4 a.m. I returned at noon. I would sleep for 2 hours and then prepare dinner. I helped Jessica with her homework. We ate dinner together. I went back to sleep early to get up again at 3:30. Jessica never complained. She was a good student, responsible, tidy. But something changed when she entered high school. She became distant. She spent hours locked in her room. She spoke little at dinner. When I asked her if everything was okay, she would answer, "Yes, Mom, I'm fine." But her eyes said otherwise. At 17, she met Robert. He was 19. He was studying business administration. He came from a family with money. His father owned a chain of hardware stores. Robert drove a new car. He wore designer clothes. He invited Jessica to expensive restaurants. I was suspicious. Something about the way he looked at me made me uncomfortable, as if I were inferior, as if I didn't deserve to be in the same room as him. But Jessica was in love, and I wanted her to be happy. They got married when she turned 23. I organized the wedding. I hired the venue, the caterer, the flowers. I paid for everything with the savings. My husband and I had $12,000. It was everything we had saved in 10 years. But it was my daughter's wedding. It was worth it. The ceremony was beautiful. Jessica wore an ivory dress with lace on the shoulders. She looked radiant. She walked down the aisle on her father's arm. I cried in the first row. Tears of happiness, of pride, of hope. After the wedding, Jessica moved in with Robert to an apartment in a residential area. I visited her every week. I brought food. I helped her clean. She seemed happy, but there was something in her eyes that worried me, a quiet sadness, a resignation. 2 years later, Chloe was born. Jessica had complications during the pregnancy. High blood pressure, risk of preeclampsia. She was on absolute bed rest for the last 3 months. I went every day. I cooked, I cleaned, I did the grocery shopping. Robert worked all day. He came home late. He almost never asked how Jessica was. When Chloe was born, I was at the hospital. Jessica had an emergency C-section. I waited outside the operating room for 2 hours. I prayed. I cried. Finally, the doctor came out. Everything went well. Mother and daughter are stable. I went in to see her. Jessica was pale, exhausted. She held Chloe against her chest. She looked at me and smiled. "Thank you for being here, Mom." The first few months were difficult. Chloe cried a lot at night. Jessica wasn't sleeping. Robert slept in the guest room because he had to get up early for work. I stayed with Jessica several nights a week. I carried Chloe. I rocked her. I changed diapers. I prepared bottles. 3 years later, Zachary was born. Another complicated pregnancy. Another C-section. I was there again. I was caring, cooking, cleaning, being the support system that no one else was. Meanwhile, my husband was getting worse. His heart was weak. The doctors said he needed surgery, a new valve. The procedure cost $45,000. The insurance covered half. We needed the rest. I asked Jessica for help. She and Robert already had good incomes. Robert worked at his father's company. He earned well. They lived comfortably. I explained the situation to them. "It's your dad." I said he needs this surgery to live. Jessica talked to Robert. He said they could lend $5,000, no more. "We have our own expenses, Doris. The children, the mortgage. We can't commit more." $5,000. When I had paid for their entire wedding, when I had watched their children without charging a single cent, when I had given everything, I got the money by selling jewelry, furniture, and taking out loans from friends. The surgery was done. My husband survived, but something broke in me that day. I understood that to my daughter, I was only useful when she needed me. My husband lived for 4 more years, quiet years. We sat in the garden in the afternoons. We watered the roses together. We talked about life, about Jessica, about the grandkids. He always said, "Jessica will change. You'll see. When she matures, she'll appreciate you." I wanted to believe him. He died one October morning. Massive heart attack in his sleep without pain. I woke up and he wasn't breathing anymore. I called the ambulance. I called Jessica. She arrived 2 hours later. Robert didn't come. He had an important meeting. Jessica said the funeral was simple. Few people. Jessica was with me during the ceremony, but after the burial, she left me alone at home. "Mom, I have to pick up the kids from school. You'll be fine." She didn't wait for my answer. I was left alone in that house full of memories. Every corner spoke to me of him, of us. I couldn't stay there. I told Jessica I would sell the house. She was excited. "Mom, we need help to buy a bigger house. The kids are growing. They need their own space." And that's how I lost my home, my garden, my roses, all to help a daughter who now told me I came in last place. 2 weeks passed after that dinner. 2 weeks in which I received no call, no message, no visit. It was as if Jessica and Robert had erased my existence from their lives. And strangely, I felt calmer than ever. I stopped sending messages asking about the kids. I stopped calling on Sundays. I stopped preparing extra food just in case they invited me. For the first time in years, my weekends were mine. I read. I watched old movies on television. I walked in the park near my apartment. I watched other people live their lives without carrying the burden of ingratitude. But then one Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. It was Jessica. I hesitated before answering. I let it ring 3-4 times. Finally, I answered, "Hello, Mom." Her voice sounded cheerful. Too cheerful, like when she was a little girl and wanted to ask my permission for something. "How have you been? I've missed you." The words sounded hollow. "I've been fine," I replied. My voice was neutral, cold. "Mom, I want to invite you to something special. This Saturday is Chloe's birthday. She's turning 13. You know, it's a big age. We want to have a family get-together. Nothing too big. Just us." "The kids miss you a lot." "The kids?" She always used the kids as bait. "I don't know if I can," I said. "I have plans." There was silence on the other end. Jessica didn't expect that answer. "Plans? What plans, Mom?" Her tone changed. It was no longer sweet. It was inquisitive, annoyed. "Personal ones," I replied. I didn't owe her an explanation. "Mom, it's your granddaughter's birthday. What could be more important than that?" Now, her voice had a hint of accusation, as if I were the bad guy for not being immediately available. I took a deep breath. "What time?" 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can get here at 2 to help me set a few things up. You know how complicated things get with so many guests. So many guests. I thought she said it was something small. Just family. "Okay, I'll get there at 3, I said. Not 2. I wasn't going to show up early to work for free again. "Perfect. Mom, we'll see you then. Oh, and if you could bring your chocolate cake." "That would be great. Chloe loves it." Of course, they didn't just want my presence. They wanted my labor. I hung up the phone and stared at the screen. Something wasn't right. I could feel it. The call had been too calculated, too kind. After 2 weeks of total silence, Jessica wanted something, and it wasn't just bringing a cake. Saturday arrived. I baked the chocolate cake the night before. 3 layers, chocolate cream filling, smooth frosting. I put 13 silver candles on it. I stored it in a special container. I dressed in a simple outfit, beige trousers, a lavender blouse, comfortable shoes. I brushed my hair back. I put on a little lipstick. I looked in the mirror. 72 years old. Wrinkles around my eyes, age spots on my hands, but my gaze was still strong. I arrived at 3 sharp. I rang the bell. I waited. The door opened. It was Robert. He was wearing jeans and a light gray shirt. He smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "Doris, glad you could make it." "Come in." I walked in with the cake. The house was silent. Too silent. "Where are the guests?" I asked. "Oh, there was a change of plans. We decided to make it more intimate. Just us." Robert closed the door behind me. The sound of the deadbolt made me nervous. Jessica came out of the kitchen. She was wearing jeans and a peach-colored blouse, hair down, no makeup, nothing festive, nothing to indicate it was a birthday. "Mom, thanks for coming. Leave the cake in the kitchen." I took it to the kitchen. The table was bare. There were no decorations, no balloons, no colorful plates or themed napkins. Nothing. "Where is Chloe?" I asked. "She's upstairs with Zachary. They'll be down shortly." Jessica crossed her arms. Robert came into the kitchen and leaned against the counter. Both of them were looking at me. The atmosphere was strange, tense, as if they were waiting for the right moment to say something. "Sit down, Mom. We need to talk." There it was. The real reason for the invitation. I sat in one of the dining room chairs. Jessica and Robert sat across from me. He took her hand, a united gesture, a common front. "Mom, we've been thinking a lot about what we talked about last time, about setting boundaries." Jessica spoke slowly, measuring every word, "and we think it's important to have a deeper conversation about expectations." Expectations. What a convenient word. Robert cleared his throat. "Doris, we appreciate everything you've done for us." "We really do. But we've noticed that sometimes you have certain expectations about our time, about our attention, and that can be complicated." I hadn't asked for anything, not even a call now and then. "We want you to understand that our priority is our children, our marriage, our stability." Jessica looked at me as if she were explaining something to a small child. "We can't be checking in on you all the time." "I haven't asked you to check in on me," I said. My voice was calm, firm. "Well, not directly, but your constant calls, your unannounced visits." Robert pointed at me with his index finger as if I were the problem. "I haven't called in 2 weeks. I've never visited unannounced." Jessica sighed, impatient. "Mom, it's not about that. It's about us needing space. We need you to respect our boundaries." "What boundaries?" I asked. "Tell me clearly what you want." Robert and Jessica looked at each other. Something passed between them. A silent signal. "We want you to stop showing up on Sundays expecting us to invite you to eat," Robert said. "We want you to call no more than once a week. We want you to understand that we won't always be available for you." Every word was a slap. "Anything else?" I asked. Jessica took a deep breath. "Yes, we want you to stop bringing food every time you come. It makes Robert feel like you're criticizing my cooking." I had never criticized anything. I just wanted to help. I just wanted them to eat well. "Understood," I said. I stood up. "Can I see Chloe before I go?" "She's busy with her stuff," Jessica said quickly. "Better another day. Another day that would never come. The cake is in the kitchen. Enjoy it." I walked toward the door. "Mom, don't leave angry. We just want things to be clear between us." Jessica followed me to the entrance. Her voice now had a touch of concern, not for me, for how she looked. "I'm not angry," I said. And it was true. I no longer felt anger. I felt clarity. "Everything is very clear now." I opened the door. Before leaving, I turned around. "Was it really Chloe's birthday today?" Jessica looked down. She didn't answer. It wasn't her birthday. The whole thing had been a lie to get me here, to have me sit across from them while they told me I was a burden. I left. I got into my car. I started the engine. As I drove back to my apartment, something shifted inside me. There was no more sadness. There was no more hope that things would get better. There was decision, cold, clear, irreversible. If I was a nuisance in their lives, then they would disappear from mine completely. I reached my apartment and locked the door. I took off my shoes. I sat on the sofa. I looked at the ceiling. The cracks formed irregular lines like dry rivers on an old map. I took a deep breath. Once, twice, 3 times. Something had ended, but something else was beginning. I got up and went to my bedroom. I opened the bottom drawer of my dresser. That's where I kept all my important documents. Old deeds, birth certificates, my husband's death certificate, and a manila folder I hadn't opened in 5 years. I took it out. I placed it on the bed. Inside were all the papers from the sale of my house. The contract, the bank transfers, the receipts, $180,000 transferred directly to Jessica and Robert's account. With a handwritten note from me for the down payment on your new house. With love, Mom. I sat on the bed and reviewed every paper. The dates, the amounts, everything was there, black and white. The proof of my generosity and of their silence. I took out my phone. I searched my contacts for a name I hadn't dialed in years. Elelenina Foster, my neighbor from the old house. The last time we spoke was at my husband's funeral. She came. She hugged me. She told me, "If you ever need anything at all, call me." I dialed. It rang 4 times. "Hello." Her voice was raspy but warm. "Elelenina, it's Doris." "Doris, tell us." There was a pause, then a shout of joy. "Doris, oh my gosh, how long has it been? How are you? Where have you been? I need to talk to you," I said in person. "Can we meet?" "Of course." "When?" "Tomorrow." "Tomorrow." "Perfect. Come to my place. Do you remember the address?" I remember it. I hung up. I lay down on the bed with the folder on my chest. I closed my eyes. For the first time in weeks, I slept deeply. The next day, I woke up early. I took a shower. I got dressed in comfortable clothes. Dark brown trousers, a cream-colored blouse, a light cardigan. I took the manila folder. I left. I drove 40 minutes to the neighborhood where I had lived for 30 years. The streets were familiar. Every corner held a memory. The bakery where I bought donuts on Sundays. The park where I took Jessica when she was little. The pharmacy where my husband picked up his medicine. I arrived at Elelenina's house. It was a single-story, pale yellow house with a garden full of plants. I knocked on the door. She opened it immediately. Elelenina was 65, completely white hair, short, curly, honey-cold eyes behind thick framed glasses. She was thin, small, but her presence filled any space. "Doris," she hugged me tight. She smelled of coffee and cinnamon. "Come in. Come in." I made coffee. We went inside. Her living room was filled with books, shelves up to the ceiling, books on law, history, novels. Elelenina had been a lawyer for 40 years. She retired 5 years ago, but her mind was still razor sharp. We sat in her kitchen. She poured coffee into turquoise ceramic mugs. She put oatmeal cookies on a plate. "Tell me," she said. "What?" I told her everything from my husband's death, the sale of the house, the money I gave Jessica, the years of watching their children, Robert's words, my daughter's coldness, the false birthday invitation, everything. Elena listened in silence. She didn't interrupt. She sipped her coffee. She nodded occasionally. When I finished speaking, she set her mug on the table. "You have paperwork." I took out the folder. I gave it to her. She opened it. She read every document carefully. She took out a notepad. She took notes. 20 minutes passed. Finally, she looked up. "Doris, was that money a gift or a loan?" "A gift," I said. "We never discussed repayment. Do you have anything in writing that says it was a loan?" "No," she nodded. "And did they promise you anything in return to care for you in your old age, to let you live with them?" Jessica said I would eventually live with them. That why did I need a big house alone? Do you have it recorded in writing text messages? No. Elelenina closed the folder. She leaned back in her chair. She looked at me seriously. "Legally, it will be difficult to recover that money. It was a gift. There is no contract. There are no documented promises." She paused. But there's something that worries me more. What is it? Have you checked your bank accounts recently? Your documents? Do you have a will? I have a will. Everything goes to Jessica when I die. She knows that. Yes. Elelonina drummed her fingers on the table. Doris, I need you to do something today. Right now, I want you to go to your bank, check every movement for the last 5 years, every withdrawal, every transfer. I want you to verify if anyone else has access to your accounts. Why? Because I've seen this before many times. Children manipulating elderly parents, slowly taking control of their finances, making them sign papers without fully understanding what they're signing. She looked me straight in the eyes. Does Jessica have power of attorney over you? My heart raced. I don't know. Have you signed papers recently? Documents that she brought you? Did she ever ask you to sign something to expedite paperwork or just in case something happens? I thought I remembered. 2 years ago, Jessica came to my apartment with some papers. She said they were to update my health insurance. Just sign here. Mom, it's just paperwork. I signed without reading. I trusted her. Yes, I said. My voice sounded weak. 2 years ago, health insurance papers. Elelonina closed her eyes. She sighed. Doris, I need you to give me permission to investigate. I have contacts. I can find out what you signed. I can check if there are strange movements in your accounts. I can verify if someone is using your name for something. Do you think Jessica is stealing from me? I don't know. But I prefer to find out now rather than when it's too late. I felt cold, a deep cold that ran through my bones. Do it, I said. Find out everything. Elelonina nodded. I need you to give me access to your documents, your bank statements, everything you have, and I need you to trust me. I trust you. We spent the next 3 hours reviewing papers. Elelonina took pictures of every document with her phone. She made calls. She sent emails. I just watched. I felt as if I were looking at my life from the outside, as if this were happening to someone else. Finally, Elelonina placed her phone on the table. I need 2 days. 2 days to get information. Come back on Wednesday at the same time. And in the meantime, don't say anything to Jessica. Nothing to Robert. Act normal. If they call, answer. If they invite you, accept. I don't want them to suspect you're investigating. What if they ask me for money? Tell them you don't have any. That your expenses have increased. Make something up, but don't give them anything. I nodded. I stood up. Elelonina walked me to the door. Doris, she said before I left, be prepared. Sometimes the truth hurts more than ignorance. I'm already hurting, I replied. Now I just want to know how much. I drove back to my apartment. The sky was gray. It threatened rain. I went inside. I closed the door. I sat on the sofa. My phone rang. It was Jessica. I took a deep breath. I answered. Hello, Mom. I just wanted to apologize for yesterday. I think we were too harsh on you. Her voice sounded regretful, calculated. Don't worry, I said. I understand. You really do? Oh, Mom, you've lifted a weight off my shoulders. I love you very much. You know that, right? I know. Hey, Mom, I need to ask you a favor. There it was. The real reason for the call. Tell me, I need to borrow $3,000. It's an emergency. Zachary needs braces and the dentist requires payment up front. $3,000. Elelonina had told me to say no. Jessica, I can't right now. My expenses have been very high. Medications, rent. Mom, it's only $3,000. I know you have it. Please, it's for your grandson. I'm sorry. I can't. There was silence. Then her voice changed. It became cold. I see. Well, okay. Goodbye. She hung up. I stared at the phone. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And in 2 days, I would know exactly what. The 2 days passed slowly. Too slowly. each hour felt like a full day. I tried to keep myself busy. I cleaned my apartment. I watched television without paying attention. I cooked meals that I barely tasted. My mind was elsewhere on what Elelonena might discover, on what Jessica might have done. On Tuesday night, Jessica called me again. "Mom, we got the money for Zachary's braces. A friend of Robert's lent it to us. But I wanted to tell you that it hurt me that you said no after everything we've done for you. Everything they had done for me." What an interesting way to look at things. "I'm glad you got the money," I said. My voice was flat. "Yeah, well, I just wanted you to know." She hung up without saying goodbye. Wednesday finally arrived. I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, even though my appointment with Elelonena was at 10 o'clock. I showered, I got dressed, I had coffee. I waited. By 8:30, I couldn't take it anymore. I got into my car and drove toward her house. I arrived 40 minutes later. I knocked on the door. Elelonena opened it immediately. Her expression was serious, too serious. "You're early," she said. I couldn't wait any longer. She nodded. "Come in. You need to sit down for this." We went into her living room. On the coffee table was a thick folder, dark brown, closed with rubber bands. I sat on the sofa. Elelonena sat across from me. She placed the folder between us. "Doris, before I open this, I need you to breathe. I need you to be prepared. Just tell me." Elelonena opened the folder. She pulled out several documents. She placed them on the table one by one. "First, the papers you signed 2 years ago, they weren't to update your health insurance." She showed me a sheet. "This is a power of attorney, a broad, permanent power of attorney. You gave Jessica total control over your finances, your property, your medical decisions, everything." I felt the floor moving beneath me. I didn't know. I know. "She tricked you. And what's worse, she did it with a notary. Your signature is there. It's legal." I took the paper. My hands were shaking. There it was. My signature. Large, clear, next to words I never read. Words that gave my daughter absolute power over my life. "But there's more," Elelonena continued. She pulled out other papers, bank statements. "I've reviewed your movements for the last 3 years. There are withdrawals that you didn't authorize. Small ones, $500 here, $700 there, $1,200. Never amounts large enough for you to notice, but added up." She showed me a sheet with numbers highlighted in yellow. Added up, they total $23,000. $23,000 that Jessica has withdrawn from your account over the last 3 years. I couldn't breathe. The air had become heavy, dense. How? With the power of attorney, she went to the bank, showed the document. The bank gave her access. She's been taking money little by little. She probably thought you'd never notice, but I check my statements. Do you check them in detail, every transaction? Or do you just verify that there's enough money? She was right. I only checked the balance. I never reviewed transaction by transaction. "There's more," Elelonena said. Her voice was soft but firm. She pulled out more papers. "Jessica also tried to change the beneficiary of your life insurance policy, the one your husband left, $50,000. She tried to put it solely in her name, but she needed your signature and couldn't fake it. That's why it's still in both your names with her as the secondary beneficiary. $50,000, the last money I had left as protection. Why would she do this?" My voice broke. "I'm her mother." Elelonena moved closer. She placed her hand over mine. "Because people do terrible things when money is involved, especially when they feel entitled to it." "What else?" I asked because I knew there was more. I saw it in her eyes. Elelonena took a deep breath. She pulled out the last document. It was a printed email. A contact who works in social services passed this to me. 6 months ago, Jessica made inquiries about nursing homes, specifically low-cost public nursing homes, and about the process for declaring someone mentally incompetent. The world stopped. What she was looking into, how to institutionalize you, how to have you declared incompetent to gain total control of everything. Your money, your apartment, everything. The tears started to fall. I couldn't stop them. My own daughter wants to lock me up. Your own daughter wants your money, and you are an obstacle. I covered my face with my hands. I cried. I cried for the little girl I raised, for the years I dedicated to her, for the unconditional love I gave her, for the betrayal I never imagined. Elelenina let me cry. She didn't say anything. She was just there. When I finally calmed down, I looked up. What can I do? Elelenina straightened up. Her expression changed. She was no longer the compassionate friend. She was the lawyer, the strategist. First, we revoke that power of attorney today. I have a trusted notary. He's coming in 1 hour. You sign the revocation and Jessica loses all access. What if she gets angry? Let her get angry. It doesn't matter anymore. What else? You change all your passwords, bank accounts, email everything. You open a new account at a different bank. You transfer your money there. You close the old account. I nodded. Taking mental notes, you change the beneficiary of your life insurance. You remove Jessica completely. If you want, you put it in the name of a charity or you leave it without a beneficiary until you decide what to do. Yes. And finally, Elelenina paused. We file a complaint for fraud for elder financial abuse. We have proof, the unauthorized withdrawals, the power of attorney obtained by deception. She'll go to jail. She could. It depends on the prosecutor. It depends on how much we want to push. But at a minimum, there will be an investigation. Her name will be flagged and she will have to return every penny. I thought of Chloe and Zachary, my grandkids, innocent in all of this. What about the kids? The children have their father. They have family. It is not your responsibility to protect Jessica from the consequences of her actions. Not even for them. She was right. I had always put Jessica first. I had always protected her. I had always sacrificed my well-being for hers. No more. Do it, I said. Do everything. Elelenina smiled. It wasn't a cheerful smile. It was a smile of satisfaction, of justice. The notary will be here soon. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare all the documents. We're going to need several hours. Are you ready? I am ready. We spent the rest of the day working. The notary arrived, an older man, serious, efficient. He reviewed the original power of attorney. He prepared the revocation. I signed. My hand was not trembling. It was firm. Sure. Elelenina called the bank. She explained the situation. We scheduled an appointment for the next day. I would open a new account. I would transfer all my money. I would close the old one. We called the insurance company. I changed the beneficiary. I put it in the name of a foundation for abandoned elderly women. It seemed appropriate. Finally, Elelenina prepared the formal complaint. I read it. Every word was true. Every accusation was supported by evidence. I signed. When will she know? I asked. The bank will notify her tomorrow that she no longer has access. The revocation of the power of attorney is being recorded today. In 48 hours, she will receive the summons for the investigation. She's going to call me, probably. Don't answer. Or if you answer, don't argue. Just tell her to speak to your lawyer. My lawyer? Elelenina smiled. Me? If you'll have me, I'll have you. We hugged a long, strong hug. Thank you. I said, I don't know how to repay you. You already paid me 20 years ago, remember? I remembered. Elelenina had gone through a terrible divorce. Her husband took everything from her. She was left without a house, without money. I let her live in my guest room for 6 months for free. I gave her food, support, friendship. That was different, I said. No, it was exactly the same. Helping someone when they need it most without expecting anything in return. Now it's my turn. I left her house at dusk. The sky was dark orange. The clouds looked like pink-dyed cotton. I got into my car. I placed my hands on the steering wheel. For the first time in years, I felt something akin to power, to control, to hope. Jessica had played her game. But now it was my turn, and I wasn't going to lose. That night, I slept better than I had in months. I didn't dream. I didn't wake up at midnight. I slept soundly like when I was young and didn't carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. I woke up at 7 in the morning. The sun came through my bedroom window, thin rays of golden light illuminating the dust in the air. I got up. I showered. I dressed carefully. Dark gray trousers, a clean white blouse, closed-toe shoes. I brushed my hair back. I put on small silver earrings. I looked in the mirror. I no longer saw a defeated woman. I no longer saw an abandoned mother. I saw someone who was taking control of her own life. Finally, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I arrived at the bank. It was a different branch from the one I had used for years, newer, cleaner. The manager was waiting for me, a young man in his 30s, charcoal suit, burgundy tie. "Mrs. Tellis, welcome. My name is David Harris. I understand from your attorney that you've had problems with unauthorized access to your previous account." "That's correct. I'm so sorry you went through that. Here. We're going to make sure your money is completely protected. We're going to open an account with 2-factor authentication. No one will be able to make movements without your direct approval, not even with power of attorney." Perfect. We filled out the forms. Questions about my personal information, my address, my date of birth, beneficiaries. I left that part blank for now. How much do you wish to transfer from your previous account? Everything down to the last cent. David nodded. He didn't ask questions. He processed the transfer. Knifed $1,400. Everything I had left after Jessica's withdrawals. The transfer will process in 24 hours. In the meantime, your previous account will be locked for withdrawals. Do you wish to close it completely? Yes. I want not a dollar left in there. Understood. I will process that today. I signed the last papers. David gave me a new card, a temporary checkbook, access codes. If anyone tries to access your previous account, they will receive a notification that the account is closed. They won't be able to trace where the funds were moved. Your privacy is protected. Thank you. I left the bank. I got into my car. I took a deep breath. Step 1 completed. I drove back to my apartment. On the way, I stopped at an electronics store. I bought a new phone, prepaid. New number. No one would have that number except Alelinena and important institutions. I got home. I spent the next 3 hours changing passwords, email, utility accounts, everything. Long, complicated passwords, impossible to guess. I wrote each one in a notebook that I kept in a safe place. I called the insurance company again. I confirmed the beneficiary change. They sent me a confirmation email. I printed it. I kept it in my folder of important documents. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my old phone rang. It was Jessica. I looked at the screen. I let it ring once, twice, 5 times. Finally, I answered, "Hello, Mom. What the hell did you do?" Her voice was a scream, pure fury. "What are you talking about?" "The bank. I went to the bank to make a withdrawal, and they told me I no longer have access, that the account is closed. What is going on? I closed that account. Why? Without telling me anything. I didn't have to tell you anything. It's my account. My money. But I have power of attorney. I have the right to access it." "You had it. Not anymore. I revoked that power yesterday." Silence. A long, heavy silence. "What?" Her voice was now low. "Dangerous. I revoked the power of attorney you made me sign 2 years ago. The one you told me was for health insurance. The one you used to steal $23,000 from me." "Steal from you? I didn't steal anything. That money was for family expenses, for things we needed, things you never consulted me about. Money you took without my permission." "I'm your daughter." "I don't need your permission." "Yes, you do." And you don't have it anymore. I heard her breathing fast, agitated. Mom, I don't know who put these ideas in your head, but you're making a mistake. I've only tried to help you, to protect you. Protect me by looking into nursing homes to institutionalize me, by looking into how to declare me incompetent. Another silence. This one longer. Who told you that? It doesn't matter who. What matters is that it's true. I was only looking into options just in case you ever in the future came to need it. I don't need anything from you, Jessica. And I definitely don't need you planning to lock me up to keep the little I have left. This is ridiculous. You're paranoid. You probably have dementia and don't even realize it. Her words were darts designed to hurt me, to make me doubt myself. But they didn't work anymore. I'm 72 years old, Jessica. I don't have dementia. I have clarity for the first time in a long time. Mom, please, let's talk calmly. Come over. Let's discuss this like adults. I'm not coming to your house and there's nothing left to discuss. What do you mean by that? I mean that as of today, we are going to have a different relationship based on boundaries, on respect, and on consequences. Consequences? Are you threatening me? No, I'm informing you. I already filed a formal complaint for financial abuse. The investigation will begin in the next few days. I heard something fall on the other end. A choked cry. You did what? What I had to do? Protect myself. You can't do this to me. I'm your daughter. Think about Chloe and Zachary. Think about what this will do to them. There it was. The last resort. The children as a shield. You should have thought about them before stealing from me, before planning to institutionalize me, before treating me like I was an ATM with legs. Mom, I'm begging you. Withdraw the complaint. We can fix this as a family. We are no longer family, Jessica. You said it yourself. Your family comes first. I come in last place. Remember? That was a misunderstanding. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. And I believed you. And now I'm acting accordingly. If you go through with this, you will never see your grandchildren again, do you understand? Never. And there it was, the final threat, the one I knew would come. If you use your children as a weapon against me, you only prove that I'm right, that you're not the mother I thought you were, that you don't deserve what I gave you. You will regret this. The only thing I regret is not having done it sooner. I hung up. I turned off the old phone. I put it in a drawer. I took out the new phone. Silence. Peace. I sat on the sofa. My hands weren't shaking. My heart was beating normally. I felt light, as if I had released a weight I had been carrying for years. I called Elena with the new phone. How did it go? She asked. She knows. She's furious. She threatened not to let me see the kids. That threat has no legal validity. And besides, after this, you probably won't want to see her anyway. You're right. How do you feel? Free. Elena laughed, a soft, warm laugh. Good, because this is just beginning. In the next few days, she's going to intensify her pressure. She's going to call. She's going to come to your house. She's going to try to manipulate you emotionally. You have to stand firm. I will. And Doris, there's something else you need to do. What? You need to start living for yourself truly. Not just defending yourself from her, but building a life worth living. A life that is yours. Her words stayed with me after I hung up. She was right. For decades, I had lived for others. For my husband, for Jessica, for my grandchildren. I had forgotten how to live for myself. I got up. I went to my room. I opened the closet. At the back was an old shoebox. I took it out. Inside were photos. Photos of when I was young, 25 years old, 30, smiling happy. There was a photo of me on the beach. Long hair in the wind, bright yellow dress, laughing. When was the last time I laughed like that? I closed the box. I put it away. Tomorrow I would start building, but today I just needed a rest to know that I had taken the first step and that there was no turning back. The next 3 days were a storm. Jessica didn't give up. On the contrary, she intensified everything exactly as Elelonena had predicted. The first day, she called my old phone 17 times. She left voicemails. I listened to them only once. They began with please. Mom, please answer. We need to talk. This is a terrible misunderstanding. Then they moved to accusations. Someone is manipulating you. Someone has brainwashed you. This isn't you doing this. And they ended in threats. If you don't withdraw that complaint, you will regret it. I swear, I deleted every message. I didn't answer any. The second day, she showed up at my apartment. She knocked on the door at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was having coffee in the kitchen. I heard her voice from the other side. Mom, I know you're in there. Open the door. We have to talk. I stayed still, silent. Mom, please let me explain. Her voice was breaking. She sounded like she was crying. Part of me wanted to open it. Part of me wanted to believe her. But I remembered the documents, the withdrawals, the nursing home inquiries, and I stayed where I was. After 20 minutes, she left. The third day, the official summons arrived. A manila envelope slid under my door. I picked it up. I opened it. Inside was a letter from the district attorney's office. Notification of a formal investigation for elder financial abuse. Jessica Tellis and Robert Tellis were named as subjects of investigation. They had to appear for questioning in 10 days. I called Elelonena. The summons arrived. And I feel bad. That's normal. But remember why you're doing this. I remember. Then stand firm. What comes next will be worse. But you have to resist. She was right. That afternoon, my old phone rang again. This time it was Robert. I answered. Doris, it's Robert. His voice was calm, controlled, too controlled. I know who you are. We need to resolve this like civilized people. What you are doing is unnecessary. It is destructive. It is affecting the whole family. The family was already destroyed. I am only bringing the facts to light. The facts are that Jessica has always tried to take care of you. She has always checked in on you. This is how you repay her. With false accusations, with an investigation that can ruin her reputation. The accusations are not false. I have proof. Proof of what? That your daughter used money you gave her freely, that she tried to help you plan your future. That is not abuse. That is love. Love would be asking me before taking my money. Love would be including me in decisions about my own life. Robert sighed. Doris, be reasonable. Withdraw the complaint. We can all sit down, talk, reach an agreement. There is no agreement possible. Then let me be clear. His voice changed. It was no longer calm. It was harsh. If you go forward with this, you will be alone. Completely alone. Jessica will never speak to you again. The children will not know you. You will die in that miserable apartment with no one to mourn you. His words were poison, designed to scare me, to break me. If that is my reality for defending my dignity, I accept it. You are a bitter, selfish old woman, and you are a thief hiding behind his wife. I hung up. My hands were shaking now, not from fear, from rage, from indignation. How dare he? How dare he call me selfish after everything I had given them? I took a deep breath. Once, twice, 10 times. The phone rang again. I didn't answer. It rang 5 more times. I turned it off. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Chloe and Zachary, their little faces, their hugs. Would I ever see them again? Were they manipulating them against me? Were they telling them lies about their grandmother? Tears rolled down my cheeks. I cried in silence for them, for what I had lost, for what I would never have. But I did not withdraw the complaint. On the 4th day, I received a text message from an unknown number. I opened it. Grandma, it's Chloe. Dad and Mom say you're sick, that you've lost your mind. Is it true? I miss you. Why don't you come to see us anymore? My heart broke. They were using the child. They were putting her in the middle. I texted back, "Chloe, I'm not sick. I'm fine. I love you very much. But right now, your mom and I have adult problems. It's not your fault. Never forget that. Will we get back together? I don't know, my love, but I will always love you, no matter what. Mom is crying all the time. She says you hurt her. Why did you hurt her?" I closed my eyes. How to explain to a 13-year-old girl that her mother stole from me? That she tried to lock me up? That she used me for years? Sometimes adults have to make difficult decisions to protect themselves. That's what I'm doing. I don't understand. You will understand someday, I promise. There were no more replies. I blocked the number, not out of cruelty, but out of survival. I could not allow them to manipulate me using the children. On the 5th day, a certified letter arrived. I signed for it. I opened it. It was a letter from a lawyer representative of Jessica Tellez and Robert Tellez. The letter stated that they were considering filing a counterclaim for defamation, that my accusations were false and harmful, that I had 72 hours to withdraw the complaint or face legal consequences. I called Elena. I read her the letter. She laughed. "It's an intimidation tactic. It's baseless. You have proof. They are scared. Ignore it. Are you sure?" "Completely. In fact, this gives me more ammunition. They are trying to silence you with legal threats. We will add that to the file." "What if they really sue me?" "Let them. They will lose and it will cost them money they don't have." That night, I slept a little better. On the 6th day, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. "Doris Tellez, who is calling?" "This is Detective Thomas Black. I am in charge of the financial abuse investigation you filed. Do you have time to talk?" "Yes." "We have reviewed the evidence your attorney presented. It is solid. Very solid. The unauthorized withdrawals are documented. The power of attorney obtained by deception is clear. We have enough to proceed." "What does that mean?" "It means we are going to call your daughter and son-in-law in for questioning. We are going to interrogate them. We are going to review all their accounts. If we find more irregularities, we will file formal charges." "How long will that take?" "It depends on their cooperation. If they confess and return the money, it could be resolved quickly. If they resist, it could take months." "I understand. Mrs. Tellez, I need to ask you something. Are you sure you want to go forward?" "These cases are difficult, especially when they involve family. Things get ugly." "They are already ugly, Detective, and yes, I am sure." "Very well, we will keep you informed." I hung up. I sat on the sofa. I looked out the window. The sky was gray. Heavy clouds threatened rain. I thought of Jessica, of the girl she was, of the woman she became, of how money had changed her. Or maybe she had always been like that and I never wanted to see it. I thought of myself, of the woman I had been, compliant, generous to the point of sacrifice, invisible, and of the woman I was learning to be, firm, protected, visible. There was no turning back. The storm was just beginning. But I had an umbrella. I had a shield. I had Elena. And for the first time in years, I had myself. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of silence from Jessica and Robert. It was a strange silence, unnatural, like the calm before a bigger storm. I knew something was happening behind the scenes. Elena kept me informed. They were summoned for questioning today, she told me over the phone. Detective Black has everything ready. The evidence, the bank statements, the fraudulent power of attorney, everything. What will happen? They will be interrogated separately. They will look for inconsistencies in their stories. If one of them breaks, everything collapses. Do you think they will confess? Robert won't. He's too arrogant. But Jessica, maybe when she sees that the evidence is irrefutable, she might try to save her own skin by blaming Robert. I couldn't sleep that night. I imagined the scene. Jessica sitting in an interrogation room, the detective showing her the papers, the withdrawals, the dates, the amounts. Her face when she realized there was no escape. Part of me felt satisfaction, but another part, A small part that still remembered when she was a baby felt pain. The next day, I waited by the phone. Elelenina had told me she would call after the interrogations. The hours passed slowly. I made coffee. I didn't drink it. I tried to read. I couldn't concentrate. I walked around my apartment from the living room to the kitchen, from the kitchen to the bedroom, over and over. At 5:00 in the afternoon, the phone rang. Doris. And it went exactly as I thought. Robert denied everything. He said the withdrawals were verbally authorized by you, that you signed the power of attorney, knowing perfectly well what it was, that this whole thing is an invention by someone who manipulated you. What about Jessica? Elelenina paused. Jessica broke down. She cried for half an hour. She confessed that she tricked you with the power of attorney. She admitted that she took money without your permission, but she tried to justify it by saying it was for family emergencies, that you never asked what it was spent on. That she assumed it was okay. Assumed? Yes. As if assuming was enough to take $23,000 from your account. What happens next? The prosecutor will review the case. They will decide whether to file formal charges. But, Doris, there's something else. What? The detective investigated deeper. He found other things. Jessica used your health insurance to pay for her own cosmetic procedures. Botox, facial fillers, dental treatments. It totaled another $7,000 in insurance fraud. I felt dizzy. I had to sit down. I'm sorry, but it's better that you know everything. $30,000 in total. $30,000 they stole from me while I lived in a small apartment eating canned soup 3 times a week to save money. There will be charges most likely. Insurance fraud is a federal crime that no longer depends on you. The government is going to pursue it anyway. I hung up. I stayed seated on the sofa, motionless, processing. My daughter was going to face criminal charges. She could go to jail. Her reputation would be destroyed. Her life as she knew it would be over. And I had been the one who lit the fuse. Did I regret it? No. The next few days were chaotic. The news leaked. Small towns are like that. Rumors fly faster than the truth. I received calls from people I hadn't seen in years. Neighbors from my old house, co-workers from the bakery, all with the same question. Is it true your daughter stole from you? I answered with the truth. Simple, direct. Yes, some offered support. You did the right thing by reporting her. No one deserves to be treated like that. Others judged me. But she's your daughter. Family forgives. Family doesn't report its own. I stopped answering the phone. A week later, Elelenina called me early in the morning. Turn on the news. Local channel now. I turned on the television. I found the channel. There it was. A report. Local woman accused of defrauding elderly mother. Jessica Tellez, age 38, is facing charges of elder financial abuse and health insurance fraud. According to court documents, Tellez obtained power of attorney through deception and withdrew more than $30,000 from her mother's accounts over 3 years. They showed a photo of Jessica, an old photo from when Chloe was born. She looked young, happy, innocent. Then they showed the house they bought with my money. Cameras outside, reporters knocking on the door. Robert came out. He looked furious. No comment. This is a misunderstanding. Get off my property. He slammed the door shut. The reporter continued. The victim, Doris Tellez, age 72, declined to give a statement, but her attorney confirmed that the accusations are true and that there is substantial evidence. I turned off the television. The whole town knew now. Everyone would be talking. Jessica wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store without being pointed at. Robert wouldn't be able to go to work without facing stares. The children would hear things at school. I felt bad for Chloe and Zachary. It wasn't their fault, but it wasn't mine either. 2 days later, the prosecutor filed formal charges. First, dairy elder financial abuse, health insurance fraud, fraudulent obtaining of power of attorney. Each charge carried possible prison time. The trial date was set for 6 months later. Jessica hired a lawyer, an expensive one, paid for probably with money they still had left from what they stole from me. The lawyer tried to negotiate. He offered to return the full amount plus interest. He offered a public apology. He offered community service. Anything to avoid jail. The prosecutor consulted with me. Mrs. Tellis, if you accept the agreement, your daughter will return $32,000. She will perform community service. She will be on probation for 5 years. She will not go to prison. What do you think? What about the insurance fraud? The government will pursue that charge anyway, but they will probably also reach an agreement. I thought $32,000 more than they took from me. The freedom of knowing that Jessica faced consequences without completely destroying her life. I accept, I said, but with one condition. What is it? That part of the agreement includes that she and Robert can never contact me again. Permanent restraining order. If they try to approach me, they violate the agreement and go to prison. The prosecutor nodded. I can include that. A week later, we signed the agreement. Jessica and Robert also signed. We did not see each other. Each signed in separate offices. I received a check for $32,000. I deposited it into my new account. My balance was now almost $60,000, more than I had before all this began. Jessica completed 200 hours of community service at a nursing home. The irony was perfect. Robert lost his job. His father's company didn't want the scandal. They fired him discreetly. They had to sell the house bought with my money. They moved to a small apartment, 2 bedrooms similar to mine. The children changed schools to avoid bullying to start over. I watched everything from afar, without joy, without sadness, just with the calm of knowing that justice, though painful, had been served. Elelenina visited me one afternoon. How do you feel? Empty. It's normal. You just closed a huge chapter of your life. And now what? Now you live truly for yourself. She hugged me long, strong. She was right. The past was buried, the account settled, the betrayal exposed. Now came the hardest part. Building a new life from scratch at 72 years old. But for the first time in decades, that life would be completely mine. 3 months after the agreement, I woke up one morning and something was different. The light came through the window differently. Brighter, warmer. Or maybe it was me who was seeing differently. I got up. I made coffee. I sat by the window. I looked at the parking lot below, the cars, people going to work, life happening, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was part of that life too. Not just a spectator. I made a decision. I called Elelenina. I want to move. Move? Where? I don't know yet, but far from here, far from the memories, far from everything. That sounds perfect. Do you need help? Yes. I need you to help me sell this apartment and look for something new in another city near the ocean. Elelenina laughed. The ocean? How specific. I always wanted to live by the ocean. When I was young, my husband and I talked about retiring in a coastal town. We never did. There was always something more important. Jessica's schooling, the house, the debts, always something. Well, now there is nothing stopping you. She was right. In 2 weeks, I sold the apartment. It wasn't worth much. But added to the recovered money, I had enough to start over. Elena helped me look. We found a small apartment in a coastal town 4 hours away. Single floor, 1 bedroom, small kitchen, but it had a balcony. And from the balcony, you could see the ocean. I bought it without a second thought. I packed my things. I didn't have much. Clothes, some books, photos. I decided to keep my husband's. Jessica's when she was a child, my grandchildren's. Although I would probably never see them again. I wanted to remember that they were once mine. On moving day, Elelenina came to say goodbye. Are you sure about this? She asked me completely. What if you feel lonely? I've been lonely for years, surrounded by people, but Lonely now. At least it will be a chosen loneliness. We hugged, we cried a little, but they were good tears. Tears of closure, of gratitude. Thank you for saving me, I told her. I didn't save you. You saved yourself. I just gave you the tools. I got into my car. The same old silver sedan. I drove for 4 hours. Long roads, changing landscapes, mountains, valleys, and finally the sea. When I arrived in town, I got out of the car and breathed. The air smelled of salt, of freedom. My apartment was small but perfect. Clean white walls, light wood floor, large windows, and that balcony. That balcony with an ocean view. I unpacked slowly. I arranged my things. I put the photos on a shelf. I hung up my clothes. I organized the kitchen. On the third day, I decided to do something I had never done. Learn to drive better, really well, with confidence. I signed up for driving lessons for older adults. The instructor was a young man, patient, kind. He taught me to parallel park, to drive on the highway, to not be afraid. You drive very well for your age, he told me one day. I drive well for any age, I replied. He smiled. You're right. I started exploring the town. Small, quiet. There was a library, a bakery that smelled of cinnamon and vanilla. A fisherman's market every Sunday. Friendly people who said hello without knowing you. I started walking on the beach every morning. Barefoot, feeling the sand between my toes, the cold water on my feet, the sun on my face. I met other women my age, some widows, some divorced, some who had also fled toxic families. We met on Thursdays for coffee, to talk, to laugh. One of them, Cecilia, told me one day, "It's never too late to start over." I'm 72, I replied. So what? You're still breathing. You're still walking. You still have dreams. That's enough. I started writing first just for myself. My memoirs, my story, everything I had lived through, the betrayal, the pain, the justice, the liberation. I wrote every night on the balcony with an ocean view, with the sound of the waves in the background. One day, I received a letter from the old town. I recognized it by the sender. It was from Chloe. My heart raced. I hesitated before opening it. Finally, I did. Grandma, I'm 14 now. I understand more things. Mom told me everything. What she did, how she hurt you. She says she regrets it, but it's too late. I want you to know that I'm not mad at you. I understand why you did what you did. And even though I can't see you, I love you. I will always love you. I hope you're happy, wherever you are. Your granddaughter, Chloe. I cried. I cried for her innocence, for her understanding beyond her years. I wrote her back. I told her about the ocean, about my new life, about the women I had met. I told her I loved her, that I would always love her, and that when she was an adult, if she wanted to look for me, I would be here. I sent the letter. I don't know if Jessica let her read it, but I did my part by sending it. Months passed. Summer turned into fall, fall into winter. Each season brought something new friendships, new routines, new peace. I turned 73. My friends threw me a small party on the beach. Chocolate cake, candles that the wind kept blowing out, laughter off-key singing. That night, alone on my balcony, I looked at the sea, the waves rising and falling, constant, eternal. I thought about the whole journey of the woman. I was invisible, compliant, sacrificing, and the woman I was now, visible, firm, free. I didn't have family nearby. I didn't have grandchildren knocking on my door. I didn't have a daughter calling me on Sundays, but I had something more valuable. I had myself whole, complete mine. And that, I discovered, was enough. More than enough. If you made it this far, thank you for joining me in this story. I know it's hard to talk about these topics, about family betrayal, about abuse, about having to choose yourself over those who should love us. But if you're experiencing something similar, I want you to know this. You are not alone. You deserve respect. You deserve dignity. And it is never, ever too late to defend your peace. Leave a comment telling me what part of the story touched your heart the most. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share this story. See you next time. Take good care of yourself. And remember, your life belongs to you.